This is the team the Lakers will finish out the regular season with and take into the playoffs. This is the final form of the Lakers roster this season. They have no more roster spots left. The trade deadline has passed. This is it. They could waive a player to sign someone else, but that is highly unlikely. So these are the guys we have to chase the title with. Is this enough to get the championship? Hell yeah. The Lakers are the most complete team in the league. They have elite defense, they have elite offense, elite coaching, and they have superstar talent. At the beginning of the season, I said that the Lakers were the deepest team in the league. If we compare the roster at this point of the season to the beginning, they didn't lose any of their rotational players from that time. They waived Quinn Cook, but he was only playing garbage time. They didn't have to trade anybody. They've only added players, thanks to the buyout market. So they had the deepest team in the league. Now add to that Andre Drummond and Ben McLemore. Drummond is a better defender than expected. He solidifies the Lakers' paint defense, which had been a weakness prior to his signing. But he's also solid on the perimeter. He's agile and he disrupts the passing lane to get a bunch of steals. This opens up the Lakers' defense. He can be that traditional rim protector, but can also hold his own on the perimeter. Not to the extent of Anthony Davis, but solid enough that the Lakers won't be forced to go small for certain matchups. A front line of Drummond, Anthony Davis, and LeBron is a tough matchup that will abuse a lot of smaller lineups. This means we don't have to play Anthony Davis at the 5 as much, and can save that for when we really need it. McLemore has shown that he is a streaky shooter, and when he gets hot, he gets hot. But he will unlikely make the rotation, especially in the playoffs. But you can always use more shooting, and if one of the other guys is having a bad night, you can throw him in there just to chuck up shots. And having a threat like McLemore from 3 is great for the spacing, and really opens up the offense. And the rest of the Lakers seem to be getting out of their funk and into championship mode. KCP is finding his stroke and looking more confident. Kuzma has improved his overall game. Markieff has been playing great during LeBron and AD's absence. Everyone seems to be shifting to that next gear and are getting ready for playoff basketball. Of course, other teams in the league made moves as well, and we have to see how we compare to the rest of the league. A lot of people have gotten distracted by what they're doing over there in Brooklyn. Don't get me wrong, that is a great team. But I'll take a healthy Lakers team over a healthy Nets team all day, every day. Look, the Nets have a great big 3. But after that, it's just meh. People were freaking out over LaMarcus Aldridge and Blake Griffin. But at this point, they're more name than game. Aldridge unfortunately had to retire due to health concerns. But even if he was healthy, he would have been played off the court. I believe the Nets' best option at center is Claxton. Blake Griffin does help them offensively, but they need help defensively. Really, the Nets' best player outside of the big 3 is Joe Harris. And honestly, the Nets might have trouble getting out of the East. The Clippers, I think, got worse. They no longer have that depth. They lost Trez and Lou Williams, who were a big part of their identity. And yes, they were awful in the playoffs last season, but that was probably due to them being in the bubble. They traded for Rondo, and I guess they need a playmaker, but I think the Lakers drained the last ounce of good basketball out of him last season. I could be wrong, playoff Rondo could make a return, but that's not going to be the difference that gets them over the hump. So those two, the Nets and the Clippers, are probably the biggest threat to the Lakers repeating. There are other contenders like the Bucks. They got Drew Holiday, but they lack depth. The Sixers are solid and might come out of the East, but I'm not taking them over the Lakers. The Nuggets unfortunately lost Jamal Murray to injury, but even with him healthy, I don't see how they can beat the Lakers. And is anyone taking the Suns or Jazz seriously, other than Suns and Jazz fans? We see these types of teams all the time. They play hard in the regular season, get a lot of wins, but they don't have enough star power to win in the playoffs. So yes, the Lakers as currently constructed can win a championship. This team, in its final form for the 2021 season, will be hoisting up that Larry O'Brien trophy.